Type 40 Live now, the early edition of the live stream Doctor Who magazine show. Happy to help start your week in geek on Rumble, X, YouTube, and Facebook too. Talking all things Doctor Who as ever. All of it from the way back then to the right here and the right now, all in front of a live chat full of fellow friends, fans, and companions just like you. And just when you thought it was safe to go back down to the basement, one of whose most unwanted of invaders returns to plague us all. And we're looking to the stars and the stats too, the season premiere ratings, more reviews, your comments, heaven knows what else on Type 40 Live. And here we are, nice and chilled. Chilled, it's Monday. It should be absolute mayhem. I'm Dan Hadley, Birmingham's king of the geeks. I was going to say, thank heaven, all that's all over. And then you remember that there's another 7 of those to do. It was so intense, wasn't it, that couple of days for just 43 minutes of TV. If you've come here to chill out, I can't promise we're going to do that, but I'm giving it my best shot by bringing forth this. So I went into the console room, and what do I find? Giant lettering plastered all over it. Chill TARDIS, it says here, chill TARDIS ambience to relax and travel in time and space too. Does that sound that relaxing? I'm not sure. I'm not sure that it does, but between us, we may be able to get there. I can't promise we're going to be able to make too much sense of it all, but we may have a laugh or two, a rant or a rave. And we've got your comments there in the live chat on YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, and X to get to as well. We'll find out who's here and what you've got to say later on. More room for your reviews. Now the robot revolution has had time to cook for a little while. My God. They do say that there's no such thing as bad publicity, don't they? They do. Chill out, Russell. Chill out. Okay, so who's going to join me in the TARDIS this time? Who's game and who is available? Let's have a look. Who have we got? Oh, yes, I'm happy to say that back after a couple of weeks' break, back to join us, it's the wonderful, the sun-kissed, and the portreeve. That's me.
What an introduction. How can I live up to that, Dan? My goodness. I do feel a little sun-kissed, it's true.
Is the portreeve a deep cut, do you think, for some?
Do you think? Do you know what? I was sat here looking at that myself in the mirror, in the cam back, and I just kind of thought, with the grey beard and the white, all I just need is that very, very beautiful white hat, and I could be the portreeve from Castrovelva, especially on Peter Davison's birthday, just the day after. So I think it fits. Yeah. So everything is here, Dan. The Dalek poster is still here. It's not May yet, so it doesn't get changed yet. I've got a plan for what that will be. So I'm really pleased and looking forward to, as I said in the introduction before we started the show, I'm like a big bottle of fizzy lemonade that somebody has shaken really hard, and they haven't taken the lid off. So I just need you tonight, Dan, with everybody else, to take that lid off so I can just go.
Just point you at the crowd like a giant fire extinguisher or something. Chill your boots for now. Chill out if you can. I thought you'd appreciate the spirit of this sort of chill TARDIS ambience there. I don't know if you're aware of what this is. These sort of ambient tracks that you can get at on YouTube, where you can have this on in the background of whatever it is you're doing. Have you seen these?
Yeah, I have seen
ASMR, I think.
Yeah, I love it. So Apple Music Chill is a regular fixture of my house, but I'm looking at that jukebox in that TARDIS still not been used, and that would be a very good place, wouldn't it, for some ambient tunes to be played.
Ambient tunes. You know? I don't think I've got too many of those on my playlist. Maybe that's where I'm going wrong, Luke. Not enough ambience in my life. What about you?
I just listen to Stereophonics. Like every Stereophonics on Michael Bublé is like my top 2 listen of the year. So and Red Hot Chili Peppers, a very eclectic bunch. No, I thought that was cool. I thought that was really, really cool. The 24-hour live stream of the TARDIS. It's cool to see how clinical and clean the TARDIS looks. But then you look at the actual console, and it looks very de-aged porcelain. So it's like the actual console itself doesn't actually match the rest of the TARDIS.
Strange, isn't it?
Yeah, I was like, "Ooh, okay."
So
Yeah.
I'm still
I
reeling
liked it,
from
though. I
the.
liked it. It's cool.
I'm still reeling from the fact the uber cool Luke Walters likes a bit of Michael Bublé, who we all know is the man
Love Michael Bublé.
killed Christmas.
Love Michael Bublé. I'm going to go see him now in Sandringham in August, I think. I love Michael Bublé. He's got a voice of an angel. Nothing better than after a hard day's work, getting home.
Voice of an angel, Michael
filling up-
Bublé. Yeah, I'm not having a word of that. Not when we've got an actual angel about to join us now. She's got the voice of an angel and the keen eye of a hawk, I think, when it comes to spotting plot holes. Charlotte Shields.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, good evening. Welcome back.
I've not been called an angel before. I've been called a
There you go.
Rottweiler by my dad.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, he was like, oh, it's a compliment. And I'm like, how's that a compliment? He goes, it's because you don't give up when you get your teeth into something. I'm like, that's not better.
Well, if it's an argument or a cheese and potato pasty, that's
true.
question of the context, isn't it? Were you aware of this, the chill stream that happened just the other day? This was over on YouTube, Charlotte. So they put up a screen there of the new TARDIS, which, to be honest, doesn't relax a lot of people I know, boils some people's piss. But they put that up there, and it was going there for 24/7 TARDIS relaxing ambience Doctor Who. This was over on the official channel as well, and they were just sort of filling your audio senses with the hums and the beats of what it would be like to be in the TARDIS on a Sunday afternoon.
I'm sorry, have they given up now on the clip shows? Have they run out of stuff to show? If they're just like, here's some... Because, like, I know these things because I listen to, like, sometimes it's like from Harry Potter or Wicked or, like, those sort of movies that have got a very definitive sort of sound, and you can get, like, ambience. But the TARDIS is quite... It's just now and again you might get the odd weird noise. It's not really something I'd associate with relaxing ambience. Well,
particularly not this TARDIS, because, I mean, you never know for a start when Shooty Cat was going to appear wearing a pair of pants and start running around like Tigger from Winnie the Pooh. Wouldn't relax me very much.
Yeah, or just when, like, you could lose him, like, even if you wanted to find him in that TARDIS, you could be like, right, where's Shooty? That would annoy you.
Dan,
I think you'd be able to hear him before you could see him, Anthony. Yes.
That's true.
I was going to say, Dan, do you remember that 25th anniversary radiophonic workshop special CD that came out for 25 years? And it was just like that. So it was like, here's a Croton noise, here's the TARDIS, here's the DMAC gun. And it literally, literally, Charlotte, it was just a couple of like beeps, bangs.
That's what I was thinking. Like, if I pictured the TARDIS ambience, it would just be beeps and bangs and blah and like that sort of noise.
So as you were talking, sort of like 20-year-old me was running into Smith's to buy a Croton sound. So nothing really changes over 60 years.
It's funny you should mention 1988 and the 25th anniversary and the Sylvester McCoy era. We are somewhat lightly celebrating McCoy this evening with our swirly background there and the crumpled up bits of foil swirling around there, Luke. But we have gone one better, I'm happy to say, with the final member of the panel who has certainly bested me in his associated knitwear. Welcome back to the show, David Milling.
Hello, and I've got my spectacles on. Hello, everybody, yes. And if Charlotte's Rottweiler, I have been called before a big fat slobbering St. Bernard. So there you go. So if we're carrying on that, and with the brainy specs, it means that I can do my Ronnie Corbett impression. The producer said, "You've got to wear glasses if you're talking statistics." A very poor impersonation.
Who better to talk about the ratings? That's why we've had David back in. We've brought in a ringer, somebody who's got a head for all that sort of thing. But before we stress everybody out, I mean, what are your thoughts on this, David? Do you do these sort of chilled ASMR things? Is this your bag?
I love it. Love it. Absolutely love that sort of white noise. In fact, there's white noise, blue noise, green noise, and all different sorts of color noises you can have now. And it's very good. And when you're looking for mindfulness, it is good. But I would say don't play that radiophonic workshop CD. I have it too. But one piece of music I do think is, and my mother and I agree on this one, is the almost like the party scene piece of music from Enlightenment on Captain Rack's ship. Lovely orchestration, a lovely piece of.
I know the one you mean, yeah.
Blippy bloppy, beepy bobby, as Charlotte described it, a piece of orchestration, and so much so that my mum still talks about that music 40 odd years after it's first transmitted. So,
happy memories of the classic era. I think I prefer the music back then as well.
I wore my top, seeing as you got such a pasting from McCoy fans on Saturday.
You did.
And I just
You caught that, did you? Oh,
yeah, just a little bit. I have to say that Delta and the Bannerman rocks. The only story in season 24 that does rock.
I seem to think that me comparing Shooty to Sylvester in some respects means that I didn't like or don't like Sylvester, and I really do, everybody. I really do.
People took it as like you having to go at him.
A major diss, but it is the week after the weekend before now, and we're surveying how things went down when Doctor Who and his new companion burst back onto the screen. That was Saturday just gone, and in a while we'll get to the panel's thoughts and we'll take a look at those stats. But what I was wondering was, how did the legends, the movers and the shakers, get behind it for opening night while we were suffering? So Russell T. Davies, he was over there on Instagram as ever, posted this picture of himself with that's the throne, isn't it? Or certainly the chair that Belinda sat in.
Yeah.
And he simply said, Doctor Who, BBC One, BBC iPlayer, Disney Plus today. Welcome to the Whoniverse, Belinda Chandra, and welcome back, Doctor. Plus Doctor Who Unleashed on BBC Three, which I still haven't seen. And for the first time, the Doctor Who YouTube channel worldwide also gets Doctor Who Unleashed as well. And then he ends with Get Belinda Home, more hashtags and more emojis. And it's standard fare, really, from Russell T. Davies. But this went down, pretty well generally. It's much of a muchness, isn't it? But this made a lot more impact because Katie Manning was right on that. With her instant review to the Robot Revolution sent right to Russell T. Davies. My visceral reaction to the Robot Revolution. Cold tea and uneaten eclair, says Fan Blooming-tastic. Fan Blooming-tastic, says Katie Manning. Thank you, Russell T. Davies. Actors, effects, and all involved. Katie's having a good night there. Katie's having a good night. I mean, do you monitor people, the Doctor Who personalities, on social media, Luke, and see what they're saying and see what they're doing, the classic people and the new people?
Yeah, I mean, Katie Manning follows hooligans for some unknown reason and always comments on our stuff.
Well.
Yeah, she commented, she said happy birthday to one of our cast members, and I was like, oh my God, I was like, this is the most bizarre thing ever. Yeah, I'll have a look. Like, my opinion will differ greatly to theirs, but it's nice to see that the people have got a great appreciation for it. The people that come before honouring what's coming after them as well. So it's really nice. It's nice just to see a very eclectic bunch of reactions. Some good, some bad. But yeah, she looked like she absolutely had a whale of a time, and who can blame her?
There wasn't as much as I was expecting. I would have sort of thought, Anthony, that the cast would get behind it. There was nothing really from Varad Sethu. But Ncuti Gatwa, he was present. He published this picture of himself. He put a picture up of himself, not even as the Doctor. So you got this and that look as if to say, I'm not even going to flush it. That's what that look says to me. And he did put out a message of goodwill to the Whoniverse. Season 2 is here. Madness. Incredibly grateful to every single person that works on bringing this beast of a show to life. Thank you, Disney Plus and BBC Doctor Who, and to the best crew in the entire world who literally make magic happen every day. He tags his 2 companions and mentions every single cast member and the genius that is Russell T. Davies. We did it. Big love and a heart. We did it. Past tense. Is there anything in that? I don't know. And then he gives tags to all the people who do his jewellery and his styling. There too,
is it Ratner and Man at CNA?
I suppose John Pertwee used to do that, didn't he? Used to say who his shirts were by and things like that. My God. No promo picture from Doctor Who, just a picture of Ncuti Gatwa.
Do you know what, Dan? It was when you were talking about social media and access to old characters from Doctor Who. I don't know if you can recall, I don't know if anybody can recall, it'd be interesting to hear in the chat, that when you used to want to write to a Doctor Who star from the past, you know, you try your hand at writing to the Doctor Who production office at Television Centre.
Yeah,
and then they would
BBC
send
Wood
you
Lane.
back Wood Lane, and then they would send you this kind of fact sheet back about everything you wanted to know about Doctor Who. And I wish I still had it, and I'm sure somebody in the chat can enlighten me and share that with me again so I can see it again. But it was literally a couple of pages of coloured paper stapled together, and then they had the various artists' agents that you could write to them if you wanted to have a and I would religiously go through writing to absolutely all of them. The 13-year-old me writing to Ian Marter and Elizabeth Sladen and getting replies back. It was kind of quite exciting. But in this day of social media, you know, you can see Katie Manning laughing and smiling and being very happy about Doctor Who, you know, seconds after it's gone out, which is incredible. It's just another world, isn't it? For,
it is, and all you need is a hashtag and a handle, and you're all sorted. I think the reason why Shooty wanted to kind of get this out of the way, because he put this out a couple of days before broadcast, the reason could be because he was moving on already. He was straight on to publicising this. This is his new role. Ncuti Gatwa has been cast as the Elizabethan playwright Christopher Marlowe, believe it or not, in Born with Teeth. This is a new play with the Royal Shakespeare Company at the Wyndham Theatre, which is in London, I believe, from August the 13th, running for 11 weeks as well. So that's well into almost touching the winter. Quite a big commitment to this new stage production there for Ncuti. This rather arresting photograph. Not sure what's going on there. And there it is. So it's by Liz Duffy Adams, directed by Daniel Evans. It's a very striking image. This is, but here we are again, you see, because obviously that is Ncuti Gatwa, former, it seems now, Doctor Who, because it's absolutely certain now that he's not going to be filming. I think this should be very obvious to everybody. Doctor Who is not filming this year, particularly not with Ncuti Gatwa. But what's even more obvious is that Ncuti Gatwa, Christopher Marlowe, it's a bit of a stretch. Christopher Marlowe, also known as Kit Marlowe, was an English playwright, poet, and translator of the Elizabethan era. He died in 1593 when he was just aged 29. I don't know much about him. I've had to look that up, but I did wonder how this works the other way around. I'm sure Ncuti will be fantastic in this. Apparently, he is quite intense on stage. You ever been to the Wyndham Theatre there? Anybody?
No.
No,
me neither.
But,
not tempted.
But they seem to Shakespeare now. It seems to be they want to modernise it as much as possible. When I've seen any stage on telly or hear about any Shakespeare now being played, it seems to be more weird if they do it actually set during the time period of Shakespeare's birth and his life.
Have you seen the Michael Fassbender Macbeth film from, I think it was 2015? That's incredible. That's like one of the best films I've ever seen in my life. Like, phenomenal film. And that's go watch it. It's probably one of the most beautifully shot films I've ever seen in my life. Like, it's incredible. Absolutely incredible.
And I've assumed this. I'm assumed that because it's about somebody's actual life story that they haven't contemporized this and set it in the present day, because that would be silly, I would think, David. But obviously, I wish Ncuti Gatwa the best in this. Wish him well. I hope it's successful. As long as it keeps away from Doctor Who, I think. No, but sincerely, you know, people move on, don't they? And the theatre crowd will probably jump all over this, and lots of Doctor Who people will probably go and support it. And my feeling, David, is you do you, and if this is the kind of thing you'd like to go and see. But obviously, there's a certain political angle to it, which there's no point in going over again. I do think there's a measure of hypocrisy at play here, which I find it difficult to cancel.
David. I mean, Tennant did Shakespeare as well at the same time as he did season 3 and 4. So
sorry, I was sneezing, so I had to just before I had to mute myself, so I didn't deafen everybody. But absolutely, you hit the nail on the head with the H word, and there is a certain amount of hypocrisy. For me, I like classic plays done classically. So if it's an Agatha Christie, I like it to be faithful to the Agatha Christie text. I like it to be faithful to the original text. I personally would. I've seen the Book of Mormon, Mischief Theatre Company, traditional sort of Agatha Christie type stuff. That's more my bag. I've just said to the wonderful Gary Akers in the chat that I would rather watch Mamma Mia on repeat for a fortnight than go and watch this, because I think I would just stand in the aisle or sit in the aisle just throwing Maltesers onto the stage, which is a terrible waste of Maltesers, in my opinion.
I think
responsible for that.
I think, Charlotte, you raise a good point, though, don't you? Because it couldn't be done in that style. So being able to add some modernity to a performance or a theatrical play like this is kind of the way forward, isn't it? I was just looking, Dan, at the image that you just showed of the play, you know, the advert, and I think Shooty in darker clothes looks more Doctor-like than some of those brighter clothes than we see him in, you know, the oranges and the yellows, you know, this kind of somber looking darker clothes, you know, is this Ruffles? I can't quite see, but that kind of darker look, I think he looks quite good there, to be fair.
I know what you're saying. Yeah, there's a sort of intensity there, which we're not getting really from Doctor Who, or certainly from the Doctor at present. I think there's a lot to be said for having a sort of puckish, impish Doctor. That's what I liked about what Matt Smith did it. But they were able to kind of dial into the darkness quite nicely with him as well. Speaking of dialing into the darkness, I think it is time that we head over to the live chat and see whether they're in a good place or a bad place. Catch up with everybody there across YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, and X, of course.
Go on then.
You're watching Type 40.
Woo!
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody who's joined us for this one. Let's trawl our way back and see who's ready to start their week here with us at Type 40. Once again, Adrian James is here with an evening, everyone. And he's standing tall and proud there. You know, tonight, I won't say it. Hi, Adrian. I'm trying to be more polite, less crass, less vulgar. I'm doing my best. We've got Tom from T-Dwarf Productions in, who's busy making a robot chicken. Fucking hell, show. Tom, I'm making a robot chicken for my Easter photo.
Is it a big, small, medium chicken? That's what I want to know.
Oh dear.
Like Big Ted, Little Ted.
Evening All says, would Airs 122. Anthony Parkinson asks, is it cancelled yet? Which, us or them?
The big
us
chicken.
Or them? We've got Bill Barkley in the live chat too. Hi guys. I enjoyed the episode. Well, pleased you did, Bill. I wonder what some of these guys think. I know what Charlotte thought. I think I've put it out there what I thought about it, because I enjoyed it for the most part. But I wonder what these guys thought. Let's find out a little later on. Simon Ashley's here too, and so is did you say Anthony Parkinson? Visiting Who forums. Yeah, visiting Who forums today. The stench of copium hangs heavy in the air. That sounds like Round the Ragged Rocks, the Ragged Rascal Fran. You can't say this stuff. Good to have you back with us, though, Anthony.
Can somebody explain to me what cope means, please? Because I see this happen all the time, and I have no idea what it means.
It could
I'll
mean
explain
a few
later.
Things.
Thank you.
It means whatever people want it to mean at the time, it strikes me.
Right, okay. That hasn't helped, but it will do, I'm sure.
The main idea is you're making yourself think a situation's better than it might be. Right,
okay. I see. Understand. I sort of understand. Thank you, Charlotte.
You're telling yourself that it's something, that the situation's better than it actually is. Rose Kirby's with us as well. Hello. It's time for a cup of tea. Hello to everyone in the chat. And happy Easter, everyone. Actually, I was about to say it's not Easter yet, but it almost is, Luke. It almost is. You're going to go on an Easter egg hunt or anything like that? You're going to hide them around the place for the missus to find?
No, I'm going to feed some lions.
Okay.
What?
You going to feed them chocolate eggs?
No, me and my missus are going to go feed some lions on Easter morning.
What?
Yes, you do.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my Easter Monday. I'm going to go feed some lions.
Most people
Yep.
go and see donkeys and horses at rescue centres, sort of.
So, folks, if Luke's not here next week on Monday,
Yeah.
you now
If
know
I-
why.
Or if I only have one hand, pretty much.
Consumed.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean the missus are going to go feed some lions. It was either a lion or a giraffe, but you can feed a giraffe anyway, realistically. So we decided on the lions.
Are you going to go in your Lion King onesie?
Oh no, I've got that ready for later because it is getting a bit nippy in here now, actually. So it is kicking around somewhere. So I might do. Actually, it's a Lion King onesie. It's got leopard's print spots all over it. Disney, their marketing's terrible for that. Disney marketing shop. But
Very off.
Yeah, I'm going to go feed some lions.
Stephen Braddock has finally watched Saturday's episode of Doctor Who, mainly so he could join us here in the chat. Things people do for us, eh, Anthony?
I know, Stephen.
Absolutely. That was one of the reasons I was going to say, Dan, that was one of the reasons I watched it, so I could join in with the chat on Time 40.
We've got a hi all from TARDIS Travels there as well. More from Tom too. We have, what else? Black Glove Studio. Our friend Chris McKeon is also here there. Hello, Chris. Good to see you, pal. As is Jack Thursby as well. That's you. So David Millings here, but you're also there. That's weird.
Yeah.
But you're two places at the same time. Jack Thursby says, bless Katie Manning, loves everyone and everything. Yes, she's there's no off switch to the awesome, is there, with Katie? Everything is always up to 11, like Spinal Tap. Gatwa is ridiculous, says Jack Thursby. It's just 3 words. Okay. And Bill says, why are people even on here if all you do is hate on it? By the way, I actually liked the episode compared to the 2 previous seasons, which weren't as good. Well, you do you, Bill. All opinions are welcome here at Type 40. We don't just say that. We genuinely mean it. We walk the walk, so stick around and see what everybody else has got to say, because you never know. Gary Akers, our panelist, is in the line. Oh, hi, Gary. Good to see you. And Thistle Beaks is here on time for once. That means we could start. We could get into it. Thank you, Thistle Beaks. Happy to have you with us as well, as always. And Ewan Erdley loves Katie Manning. She's great. I think it's compulsory to love Katie Manning, isn't it, Luke? Particularly when she loves you back through the wonders of social media, when she connects and just chips in every now and again. It's impossible not to respond to this woman. She's the fairy godmother of Doctor Who fandom.
Yeah, she's amazing. It was like when we were at Hooverville, one of our cast members, Rob, offed her out for a Weatherspoons, and she said she'd rather eat a lino carpet than go to Weatherspoons. But she was lovely. She mad as a box of frogs, like absolutely crackers. But yeah, what an incredible woman with incredible life as well. Just if anyone ever gets a chance to go to a convention and she's talking, just go and sit, because it is an absolute roller coaster on what she tells you. Because yeah, what a wild life she's had. Trust me.
What has she ever had a wild?
Has she ever? For radio. I interviewed her for radio once, and before we actually started the interview, she was telling me about how she grew up in the same company as Liza Minnelli and all sorts of wonderful stories, and just so happy to share them, and just so normal. She's such a normal person, and just lovely with it, and so infectious with her personality as well. And she's just lovely. A truly lovely person.
I'm not convinced she's particularly normal, having been in a company myself, but I know what you mean. She's certainly very approachable, very easy to relate to. I know what you're saying. We've got Sonny Waffles in the live chat as well, along with Sentai Donny too.
Hi,
and Ezra Goldstein as well. So lots of people coming in. But yeah, what I wanted to say was, has Katie Manning ever had a wilder time than when she no doubt jumped on this right away on Saturday, Luke? Because it's dropped, hasn't it? The first part of the Hooligans grand finale as well. So give people a plug for this again, what it's about, and why should they go and watch it, and what's been the word so far now it's finally out there?
I think Katie Manning probably has had a wilder time, trust me, from her stories. Jesus Christ. Yeah, it's the end of Doctor Who. Funnily enough, on the same day Doctor Who came back. Mad. Russell wakes up in a Russell. I'm not playing Russell before anyone says in the chat I am doing Russell. I'm not. Brandon McCaffrey is playing Russell. Russell wakes up to a world where Doctor Who ceases to exist, and he's the only one who can remember it. If you've seen Yesterday, it's slightly like Yesterday, but it's not. It's with Doctor Who, and there's a very masterful villain that makes an appearance, and his plan is to sort out the human race's little cultural messes, and Doctor Who is the greatest mess of all.
I don't think many people would argue with that. So it could well be R.I.P. Doctor Who if people head over to your YouTube channel. Luke, what's it called again?
So the channel's called I keep getting it wrong. Actually, Cinescope Ltd on YouTube. Cinescope Pictures. Just search Hooligans. There's 5 episodes out currently, and then the finale comes out the same day as the Doctor Who finale comes out. So yeah, go please do it. Please enjoy it. It's a good laugh. We had a good laugh filming it anyway. I think the boys had the best time filming, especially John when he had the full time-rotor regalia on and the Sontarans appeared, and I've just spoiled something. Never mind. And it's the trailer. It's fine. It was very, very good. It was a great laugh, and yeah, we're happy to put it out. I'm finally happy to let it go. So it's very nice.
Ewan is a fan. He says, I enjoy Hooligans films so far. There you go. Stick around.
Thank you. Thank you very, very much.
More of the good stuff to come. And good stuff in a newsagent or supermarket near you, so I'm led to believe, Anthony. This is the latest special edition of Doctor Who magazine from Panini. 20 years of the 9th Doctor. We celebrated the 20 years, didn't we, of Series 1 about 2 or 3 weeks ago. We got the writer Paul Hayes in. We did a real deep dive on that. But this special, which is currently available, I think it's selling quite well as well. You are somewhere between its pages, are you not?
I am indeed, Dan. So very fortunately, luckily enough, one of the features writers for the Doctor Who magazine and for this particular special, Robbie Dunlop, got in contact with me and said, weren't you on the set for those early Doctor Who's? Were you watching on location? Were you about? The answer to that was yes. I was loitering on many a street corner through most of that first year of the filming of the new series of Doctor Who. Yeah, exactly. And I took photos, and it became a feature. Yeah. It became a feature for this particular article in the Doctor Who magazine. My first ever article in the Doctor Who magazine, of which I am featured in, but I did not write.
I had a moment.
You can see You can see pictures of me in there and everything, Dan. It's like a Anthony Weiner spread of photos and captions. And so I think I bought about 15 copies. So that's why it's probably selling so well, isn't it?
There you go. So if you want to see Anthony Weiner spread, get over there.
Do it.
20 years of the 9th Doctor, special edition there from Doctor Who magazine. Okay.
Where have they put the staples, Anthony?
Wouldn't you like to know? Wouldn't you like to know?
Okay, this is Type 40 Live. A quite reserved conversation in some respects. Some of the time. Can't promise it's going to stay that way, though, when we get cracking on the rest of it. We'll have more of your comments as well. Of course we will. We're going there, here, there, and everywhere. And I can't promise that you're going to like what you're going to hear, but it will be interesting because it always is. This is Doctor Who.
This is the Type 40 podcast. You will be exterminated.
Okay, so the 12th of April has been and gone. That was the all-important date, wasn't it? That we were counting to take a while for the publicity engine to kick in this time. But when it did, it really did. And although there weren't exactly posters everywhere this time, well, we knew that Doctor Who was back, didn't we? And all that counts, I don't know. New season of Doctor Who on screen does mean that, of course, that as well as the episodes themselves, the Doctor Who fans' second favourite subject is back at the sort of forefront of conversation too. Some people find that very, very frustrating. I accept. But collectively, whether we want to be or not, in some cases, we are obsessed with the ratings of this show, aren't we? This stretches back 40 years now, right since that sort of cancellation, that cruel cancellation of 1985. And I think we all know all too well that the last few years have seen possibly the biggest revisions and revolutions even in how we simply get these episodes in front of our eyes compared to the, I suppose, the model that was in place right the way from the invention of television until 10 years ago. Nothing really changed. And then everything seemed to change all at once. So with the TV landscape changing, with Doctor Who's own fortunes also changing for better or worse, I don't know, certainly rolling, how do you make sense of all of that when we've all got our subjective responses as well to this show? This series of Doctor Who premieres on the BBC iPlayer and Disney Plus simultaneously at what is UK time 8 a.m. So that is about 11 hours before that broadcast on BBC One, its traditional home. Expecting that not to make a difference to the ratings, that's probably unreasonable. Of course, it's going to make a difference, but the majority of people, the majority of the audience for this show is still in that Saturday evening slot. I think that's a stone cold fact. So when we're sifting through the various metrics that come out over weeks and months, it can be, I don't know, it can be difficult to chew through it all because we tend to get stuck in circular conversations when it comes to this stuff. Anthony, why are we obsessed with the ratings? Do you share this obsession, or do you get really do you get tired of it?
Yeah, I do share the obsession because it was always a bit of a barometer in the past, wasn't it? So like 80s Doctor Who, you know, you would, particularly around, I think I became aware of it around Trial of a Time Lord. So we'd had the hiatus. It had been 18 months without Doctor Who, and it was going to come back, and the ratings, we were told, were going to make a difference. So following that story from about Trial of a Time Lord, it's something that I've been aware of. But I'm also very aware that the landscape of television has changed, and you can't often or always judge just by an overnight rating. But I think it was a real barometer in the past about how successful a program was going to be. And I think I only became sort of conscious of it in Doctor Who terms around that season when Doctor Who came back after the cancellation.
I mean, we could keep going on about the good old days from here till the cows come home, couldn't we? You know, we may get these glossy new publicity pictures, but in some ways it was a lot easier to work out what was going on when, you know, you just got one figure. It was very clear you either won or you weren't. You either liked it or you didn't. Now you don't just get one figure, you get 2 or 3 or 4 or more, Luke, and there's various connotations to them, the devices that people watch them on and for how long, what even counts as a view. You can see why people get confused and frustrated and why it's hard to make sense of it all, can't you?
Yeah, I think as Doctor Who fan, David's going to be like, nope, you're wrong. Shut up. But when Doctor Who fans are obsessed with the ratings, and I don't get me wrong, it's like Gladiators was like the highest rating on BBC, and it was 2.9 million. So, but the way like all of my friends that watch it, they all watched it 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the morning. They didn't like, really? And then I watched it, and then it's just, come on, John Carley's not waiting around till 6 o'clock in the evening if new Doctor Who is on. Like Brandon is not. I think the way we consume media now as well, and ratings don't mean as much in the age of digital media now. If you notice, Netflix, Disney, Amazon, all the streaming platforms go on about watch hours. They don't talk about ratings. I know it is a terrestrial show, but a lot of people do consume it now. Like I watched it on iPlayer. I watched it about 3 times on iPlayer that day. So it's like it is more. Yeah, I did actually. Yeah, twice here, and then once in my missus' house. Yeah, the shock. I enjoyed it. But yeah, I think it's going the way of watch hours instead of TV ratings. And if you have a look on YouTube as well, you see YouTubers are doing now. I know it's a totally different ball game, but YouTubers are doing well, and they counted as like massive successes, and they're just getting like 500,000 to 1 million views, and they're making so much money off it, and they're seeing successes online. So if you apply that to like TV ratings, it's a bit of a leap, I get it. But Doctor Who's doing quite well terrestrial-wise. People are going to say the weather. Nah, you can give or take the weather. Really, but
I was talking to
media differently.
I was talking to somebody from the industry earlier on today, and we were talking a little about Doctor Who and the run up to this, and we were saying, well, it's the response to it, the publicity is so bad. But you look back at when Doctor Who was on at Christmas, that week, Christmas week, Doctor Who was the 4th most watched program of the Christmas season. You think, well, how do we equate that? I thought that episode was god awful. I did the review on here. But being objective, do we call that a show in ratings trouble when it's doing that? I did this on screen, didn't I? At the time, you take the numbers out of the equation. You think, well, if more people, people are only watching 2 other things more than that, then how are we quantifying success and failure? Even that is changing. But to think, Charlotte, that how Luke describes that there, of having watched it 3 times in 24 hours, I have an over-romanticized view of this, where families, right, sit around a glowing object in the middle of the room, a bit like the cast are now, and sort of stare at the TV screen. Everybody enjoys it together, and it's that sort of time capsule there that's spoken about 10, 20 years after. So remember when we all used to watch Doctor Who at that? But now, Luke's probably got a point, isn't he? If it drops at 9, you got your smartphone or your tablet on you. You think you've got 40 minutes. Flip that out, watch it there and then. It's alien to me, but is that reality?
Although it has changed, there's no denying it. You can watch it beforehand. I did, because we were on that night talking about it. I watched it like at lunch on the Saturday. But I think the way you have to think about it is, yes, the stock, like, just black and whiteness of a figure isn't the same as it was 5-10 years ago. That is completely true. But I think you need to now look at patterns and how much they are retaining or gaining or losing on that figure. I think that's the bigger thing to be your indicator here, because especially when you've got a show that goes away for a part of the year and then it comes back. How many of your how many of your fans or casuals or however you want to class it have gone, do you know what, I'm going to make an effort to watch it again, even though it's not been on? And you need to look.
I agree.
I
think that I think particularly when they get fewer and fewer, Charlotte, when they're putting 8 on at a time, it becomes therefore event television, expensive event television, and therefore it's not unreasonable for us to hold the program makers, all of them, to task and say, look, this costs a fortune. It's event television. People should be prioritizing this, and if they're not, then you're not doing your job. You're not doing your job properly.
It talks to how this idea of how hot something is, that idea of if it's are people talking about it before, like, oh, you've got to watch it on this day, or you've got to watch it on the iPlayer as soon as it drops. It's that sense of how, sort of in the TV sense, in the larger sense, how big is Doctor Who now? And I think the viewing figures can be part of that picture. Is, like, for example, they've announced, well, they've not announced it, but it's now clear we're getting a Line of Duty again at some point. They're going to film that, I think, at some point this year. And when that was on TV, all the papers were covering it, all the news bulletins were covering it. People were talking beyond just the day or the night it aired. And that's what I mean. It's about the bigger picture, I think, with ratings, and they can be a part of it.
It is a very damaged brand, and you can't expect. It's like when it first came back originally in 2005. Sorry, I'm taking away from you, David. Sorry, but when it first came back in 2005,
no. I've got plenty to bore people with, so don't worry.
But when it first came back in 2005, it was almost like brand new. So it's been off TV for years and years and years. So when it came back, there was this new excitement, and they're like, oh my god! And you've seen the photos of Eccleston in the TARD, and all this stuff is coming out, and there's so much anticipation. Like, is it going to fail? Is it not? You can't expect to do that exact same reboot in 16 months, 18 months for shooting. It just doesn't work. People already know the damage that has come before it.
Yeah.
Not So it kind of missed the mark on the relaunch.
A lot of water under a lot of bridges in 20 years as well. None of these things happen in a bubble, and we can't reset any cultural clocks. So let's get into it. I mean, the cold hard fact, the only real metric we have at the moment is the standard overnight rating. So Doctor Who, The Robot Revolution, pulled in 2.0 million viewers there overnight on BBC One in that traditional slot there. This figure is down on the premiere of the last season. It seems very stark when we first look at it. Wow, just 2 million people in the whole of Britain, in 70 million people, and however many people who count as the full 100% audience share. 2 million doesn't seem like very much. Apparently, it was the fourth most watched show of the day. David, how should we look at this? Because obviously it's been dropping down very slowly, hasn't it? There's a huge drop during the Whittaker era. The drop has largely continued since. This is a good 500,000 down on season one's premiere. That did surprise me. I was expecting a drop, but not a drop of that much. What's your take on this, and what other contrasting criteria can you sort of bring into play here? Are things as bad as they look?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
However, not with that rating, because the thing is, 2 million viewers for a Saturday. More people watch TV on a Monday than a Saturday.
Really?
And apparently so. I found that out last night when I was preparing for this. So essentially, Monday evening is often the night where people will watch more television than a Saturday night, because obviously they're more depressed on Monday because it's the start of a week.
Because Saturday, David, was traditionally for decades the big telly night. In Britain.
Yeah, absolutely. Saturday's your event TV. Okay, so essentially, what we have here is 2 million. Okay, EastEnders roughly gets about 1.8 million per episode. So and that's a continuating. That's around about that figure. So that's that's a soap. So that's on 4 nights a week. That's So that's. Remember when it was getting 25 million regularly. However, so 2 million is not all that bad. Okay, but and this is where it is bad. The episode on Saturday night got a 17.4% audience share, which is the lowest in the history of the program where audience share has been monitored, and that has been monitored since 2005. So the previous worst is another favorite episode of yours, Dan, and everybody else on the panel, and that is 19.8% for Rogue.
Ouch.
A lot of Shooty's episodes, I say a lot, I'd say around about half or more in his first season, and I'll talk about the Christmas specials in a moment, were sort of like mid-20s, a couple high 20s. Space Babies was 32%. Okay, and then
that's nearly twice. So that's nearly twice of the figure for this.
And you would expect that because it's a First Doctor new story. Devil's Cord dropped into the high 20s. Okay, which followed immediately, and that was reflective. But the key issue is about the audience share, and people will say, "Well, what about Jodie?" Jodie's were in the 20s and above. Okay, for most of her time in her first season, the vast majority were in the 30s and above. So as we're talking about percentages, I'll do it to ratio. Okay, that is one in roughly 5.5 people at a time are watching Doctor Who. If you compare that with the sort of time with Matt, some of Peter Capaldi's when they had him at a regular time slot and weren't shoving him all around the schedule, which affected audience share. Matt was well over 1 in 3. Okay. people were watching Doctor Who. Capaldi was mid 20s to like 1 in 4, 1 in 3, because they kept putting him at different start times, which had an effect. David Tennant, as you can imagine, we're talking a lot in the high 30s, a lot in the low 40s.
It did seem back then that everybody was watching it, which of course not everybody was, but the fact that it seemed that way would.
We're getting to that point where it's almost 1 in 2. 1 in 2 households are watching Doctor Who. When we have now seen the drop of the audience share to 17.4%, it backs up what Charlotte is saying, is that not a lot of casual viewers are watching the program. It hasn't become, it has lost its status of event television, the must-watch television. I must see it tonight so I don't get spoiled. I must see it live with my family and friends, even if they are saying, for God's sake, why are we watching this again? We are watching.
At least they're watching it.
At least they're watching it. So for me, the issue is the fact that it seems that it is now only being watched by a certain element of the core fan base. I say a certain element because a certain element of the core fan base have walked away. Okay.
Lots of people in the live chat watching us tonight don't watch Doctor Who on a Saturday starring Ncuti Gatwa.
Absolutely. So even during Jodie's tenure, you still had on average 1 in 4, 1 in 4.5 people watching. I'm sorry to talk in halves, but it's just a simplistic way of saying it.
Yeah.
Is 1 in 4, 1 in 4.5 people were still, sometimes 1 in 3 were watching Doctor Who with Jodie in it. But with Ncuti, it seems to have fallen by the wayside. For example, the Christmas special, his first one was in the 40s, 41, 42% watched it. The Christmas special in December, and what's key about this is you said that you thought that this was Doctor Who's Last Chance. It was in the Last Chance Saloon.
The Christmas one I felt was, yeah.
Yeah, it's last chance to attract people. Well, that had an audience share of 37.7%, which is really good. So more than 1 in 3 people were watching Doctor Who at that time. That has dropped off so much, over 20%. It has fallen to the new episode, and that for me is the concern, the actual audience share, because we are now moving into a key part of the Doctor Who season, which is the Britain's Got Talent live episodes, which are event TV on the other side, are starting on Saturday, I believe, and that is running up straight against Doctor Who. So it will be really interesting to see the percentage audience share against ITV's event TV.
It's fair to say, David, I think that from the conversations that I have and from the eye that I do keep sometimes on shows like that the audience for those shows has also gone down, but they have retained a kind of event status. The excitement, the energy that surrounds the fact that the live shows, that they are broadcast live and people can get involved, can call in, can register a vote for whoever they like the best, can't they? So being on a week or two before all that started, has that pretty much fried Doctor Who's chances of
I would be very concerned, and that poor cat. I think somebody said that its name should be called Ash. But
that was Gary.
So from what you're saying,
that
David,
was Gary Akers, wasn't it?
It's understandable that people notice a figure like 2.0 million in a country made up of 70 million people, X amount of tens of millions of TV licenses still, despite the fact a lot fewer people are rejecting the TV license by the month. That is tumbling, but not at this kind of rate. So for people to look at the 2.0 million figure and see, well, that is low. You say, well, that is not actually against the landscape at the end of the world. But when you bring in everything else, it actually paints quite a sorry picture.
Yeah, I mean, and that's why we talk about audience share. For example, you can have programs that are transmitted with 400,000 or 500,000 viewers, but if that's at 4 a.m. in the morning, they would probably have a 90% audience share. So audience share, like for breakfast TV, for other sorts of issues, they're not getting the same amount of viewers as primetime TV would. But again, it's audience share. How much, and radio is very much also sort of like your percentage audience share.
I think I've been guilty.
Reach.
I think I've been guilty as a commentator on this stuff of overlooking that audience share figure in favour of the AAI index, the Audience Appreciation Index.
Yeah,
but it sounds like actually the both of them. I should be keeping an eye on both of them.
The AAI and the audience share are particularly important because if you have an AAI, that means, and going back to what Charlotte was saying, you have for event TV like Line of Duty, Britain's Got Talent, Live, Celebrity Big Brother, you have those water cooler moments in the office where people will be talking about, did you see, oh my God, you have to watch, oh, well, I'm a little bit behind, so I'll catch up on that so I can see it live tonight. And oh my goodness me, did you see this? And fantastic, oh, blah. And that's how Line of Duty spread. Death in Paradise, for example. I love Death in Paradise.
Oh,
I
I'm
think
not the only
one. Charlotte, I could talk ad infinitum, but I won't. But the thing is, Death in Paradise has had more lead detectives who are more like the Doctor than Doctor Who has in the recent 10 years. Okay, they are more doctorish than that. The last series was down by about 1 million, but you're still roughly on average 6 to 7 million on a Friday night at 9 o'clock.
Yeah,
that's like, my God, that's fantastic figures and a great audience share too, because it is a case of, well, I really have to see it at the time because I don't know. I don't want somebody else to tell me who done it, and that's and that's
which is what Doctor Who used to have.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So if the AAI is better, more people will be talking about it. More people will be saying this is fantastic. You've got to watch it. Then more people will tune in. Your audience share gets bigger, and that's why a lot of the I think Army of Ghosts are fantastic audience share. Journey's End, amazing audience share. In the mid to high 40s, because people were going, my God, how on earth, the Doctor's been exterminated. He's just met Rose again. And now he's regenerating. What on earth is going to happen?
It was thrilling and compelling and an absolute roller coaster that you couldn't take your eyes off. Nobody needed to polish any turds way back then. I mean, I don't know if I describe the robot revolution as a turd as such. I won't go over my opinions again. I talked about it the other night, but I enjoyed it to some degree. It did entertain me. It did hold my interest. I found the new companion charming. Her relationship with the Doctor, for me, brought out kind of the best in Ncuti's performance, but I think there was a lot of other things at play as well. So right now, I think we ought to bring in Anthony Weiner, uncork him and see what he's got to say. Anthony, how did you rate this then, the Robot Revolution by Russell T Davies the other night?
Thanks, Dan. There's no quick answer to this, so I'm going to take my time. In the week running up to this episode being shown, I was, as people have seen me on this show, I was largely indifferent to watching this. I thought I might well just watch all 8 in a go. I had no desire really or interest to watch this go out live. And that I say with some sadness, because I am a lifelong Doctor Who fan. And of course, every series of Doctor Who coming back, I want it to be a success. This didn't grab me. That first poster on the 12th of April, for the 12th of April, with the Doctor with his back to everybody, it didn't set me off into wanting to enjoy this or get excited about this. But as the weeks went on, and the poster that we talked about in great detail, the kind of purple one with the planets and the Doctor and Belinda on top of that poster, I was thinking, oh yeah, you know, I'm more and more interested. I'm not excited as I used to be, but I'm a little bit more intrigued. So then it got to Friday afternoon before the episode went out on Saturday, and I listened to on BBC Sounds, Russell T Davies on the Scott Mills show. And it was back on. Seemed to me he was back on form. He was laughing. He was joking. He was loving what was going on. It was very different to the news story the day before, where we're going for a break and there's a bit of a rest. And he seemed upbeat and jovial. Anita Dobson was on that show, and I kind of thought, oh, you know, the sun's out. It's a nice spring day. It's my memory of Doctor Who, kind of in those last 20 years, you know, that kind of March, April opening episode, I was becoming more and more excited. I didn't watch it at 8. I wasn't excited enough to watch it at 8 o'clock. I was heading for old school transmission BBC One. I didn't quite get to that transmission of BBC One. It kind of, whenever it went out, 10 to 7, I watched it. I gave in about kind of 4:30 randomly on a Saturday afternoon. So it wasn't event telly as it used to be. I was intrigued enough to watch it. I'd seen enough comments on X and on social media. It was increasingly a mixed bag, but mostly positive. So I thought, right, I'm going to jump in before somebody tells me what I'm going to be watching. So I watched it, and I was, I don't know what it is. It just lacks a certain something. I don't know what it is, but it lacks a certain something that makes me excited to watch this program. I enjoyed it.
Is it
heart? It was padam. It was all of those things, Dan.
Okay.
You know, it just, I can't put my finger on it. I need somebody to help me, because I just watched it. It just washed over me, and that was it.
So what you're saying is, it kind of looks like Doctor Who. All the markers are there. A lot of the iconography is present. We've got a Doctor. All the kind of archetypes. It looks and sounds like Doctor Who, but it just doesn't feel like Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Something's not.
It's really interesting, Dan. The one text, when you were talking about people texting you or messaging you or talking about Doctor Who, I've had none of that for, you know, everybody knows I'm a massive Doctor Who fan. I haven't had any of that of, you know, my generation. So to me, are you looking forward to Doctor Who? You know, the non-fans. The only one text I got from anybody who's, you know, enjoys watching the show, wouldn't have a Dalek in their house, wouldn't go and buy the Doctor Who, Doctor Who magazine. Yeah, who would do that? The one text I got is, what the F is he wearing? And that was it. What the F is he wearing? And that is
really interesting, Anthony.
That is my massive beef. That is my massive beef, David, that there is not a silhouette for the Doctor of which I can believe this is the Doctor.
And that's really interesting, because about the texting as well, because as we advertised, I was in the spa on Saturday with my good lady, celebrating our first wedding anniversary, and we had a lovely day. And Dan, it looks like you could do with a spa as well, mate. You could, after that weekend of hard work, it looks like you could do with a sort of some relaxing music and a nice massage. But so we're there filling our faces, and we ate a bit too much. So we sat there in our room at night with watching Hooligans, because which my good lady wife it loved as well. And I get a message from a WhatsApp message from my mum, who has watched every episode of Doctor Who ever, mostly on transmission night. She was 13 when it came out in 1963. Whenever I've got a DVD, or whenever I used to watch it on UK Gold, she said, "Oh, this is a good one. This is a da-da-da." There's only 2 episodes that she can't watch, stories she can't watch, because she's got a terrible fear of spiders. That's Planet of the Spiders and Arachnids in the UK. She loved Jodie's tenure. She got me into the show when I was a toddler, so I've got my mum to thank for it. She loves Star Trek, Stargate, anything like that. She even liked Section 31. Okay, that horrible Star Trek.
Okay, I'm starting to be concerned about this.
Okay, but she gives everything, and she likes Star Trek Discovery. So what I'm saying is, she doesn't criticize, and this is an important point. She doesn't criticize unless she feels that she has to. So this is what she sent to me at something like at 10 o'clock whilst we're sat there with a bottle of Gaviscon, feeling too fat. Seriously, it was that bad. She said David. She likes to call me David, as mothers do. They always start off with your first name, don't they, as if you've done something horrendous. David, I thought Doctor Who was dreadful. It was laughable and not at all well written. We'll be interested to hear what you think when you can bring yourself to watch it. And I said, oh dear, was it really that bad? And she says, and I'm literally reading off the WhatsApp chat here, and she said, it was. I thought so anyway. It was really naff. Watch it and see what you think. And I said, well, I've not heard good things so far, but I'll reserve judgment. I know there has been some silly stories over the history of the show, but I've never heard you say this sort of thing before, even during Jodie's time. I think she knocked the pants off this one, and that's saying something. To me, it seems a mockery of all the Doctor has meant in the past. I can't see any redeeming qualities in this one. I know I can't believe I'm saying this. As you know, I've always enjoyed Doctor Who.
Wow.
And for my mum to say that, it's sort of like, we've sat through some right shit, together watching Doctor Who and Star Trek. Oh my God. We have sat through some right clunkers. I mean, even Time of the Rani, she could find positive points to it. And then I said, well, yeah, I suppose it's not that bad. But for her to say that it's made a mockery of everything that the Doctor, I phoned her up to sort of tie her down a little bit more on what point it was. And she said, and this is exactly what and I found this too, Charlotte, and I know I've mentioned it in our private chat.
Yeah.
The point where Alan is reduced to sperm and an egg. Okay, so there is life there somewhat, and the robot cleans him away, and he laughs. And she said she found that she's also got a cat as well, so she didn't like that. But the bit with that at the end, she found so undoctorish. It was unbelievable. And she felt quite disgusted about it.
That was something that we all mentioned as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, and that for me, I watched it whilst I was cooking spag bowl this evening for the family, and which was very nice, by the way. And I just sort of had it on, and I thought, you know what? This feels a bit like the Fast Show have done a parody of Doctor Who. And I was expecting, and the first bit I got that is when Anita Dobson goes, "You ain't seen me," and I thought she was going to tap her nose and go, "Right," Yeah,
they're obviously going to try and take that somewhere, and it is annoying that there seems to be 2 or 3 different things going on at the front and at the back end of this. It makes it very difficult to get to the crux of the story, which is just what Sonny Waffles says here. And we've got another comment somewhere that said about it just to have a beginning and a middle and an end makes something so much more digestible. And I think that's what Doctor Who really needs. But Sonny Waffles has come away with this and said, look, it's mid. That's what it is. It lacks proper character development, proper world building. We're presented with a very opulent world and production value, Charlotte, which we talked about on Saturday, with the rocket ships, the robots. I love all that sort of kitsch stuff. But we've got no... And I suppose the fact that it just exists, is that meant to be enough? But I'd like to know a little bit more about the society, the things that they wear, and how it works. Just a little would be enough. There's no texture or colour to it other than shiny floors and ray guns and all that kind of thing, which is fun. But I think Doctor Who should go a little bit deeper, has gone a bit deeper. And even in episodes like The Doctor's Daughter, which, they're quite pacey, they don't hang around. There's not much of a plot to that either. But at least they go to some length to explain what's going on, wherever we are. And you sort of feel it. You feel that heart that I feel that Anthony was quite rightly pointing to that maybe isn't present.
Yeah, it felt like it was a backdrop in every sense of the word, that planet. Like, the way it was written, there wasn't enough depth. But just go back to that moment with your mum. I'm very intrigued that she picked that up, David, because while we were talking about it on Saturday and I was describing that scene, there was people that hadn't seen it yet in our live chat. And a number of people were like, you were literally saying to me in the live chat, you're joking, right? That didn't happen. Like, that's the Doctor didn't do that. And I've seen quite a lot now of fans after when we done our live stream, like the day afterwards, I was scanning a bit reaction.
Yeah.
And I saw a lot of fans really put out by that scene. And it reminded me, not in the same way and not in the same sort of context, but this idea of the Doctor being out of character and it actually being a damaging out of character moment. It reminded me of Jodie with the "I'm socially awkward" scene.
I wouldn't go quite that far. I wouldn't go quite that far, but I think we've got to move on a little. But I wouldn't go quite that far. But it's understandable if it stays in people's memory, and if it leaves a bad taste in their mouth, even if they're not entirely sure why. Let's look at some of the comments here in the live chat.
But I'm just saying, in that sort of elk, a little bit. That's all I meant.
I said to Gary Akers in the chat on Saturday night when I heard you talk about it, Charlotte, and I thought, surely not. But I trust you because obviously I do trust you. But I said to Gary Akers, it would be like in Warriors of the Deep, the Fifth Doctor laughing when Turlo said, "You realise they're all dead, and and him just laughing instead of saying there should have been another way." And that line of "there should have been another way" rescued that story from the abysmal nature that it was, to saying, yeah, these people were trying to start a nuclear war to wipe out the human race. But I'm really sad that they're dead because there was no other way. He didn't sort of like laugh and crack out the cigars and, get out the brandy and say, hey, where's Tegan? Shall we have a knees up? It was very, very, very disgustingly written.
So did you have a good time or a bad time with this yourself, Luke? You've stayed very quiet there, but how did you feel about it? Because you say you watched it 2 or 3 times in that first day. Was that out of sort of? Do you always do that? Is it out of sort of loyalty, out of habit, or did you just think, oh, I really want to see that again? I want to feel that again, or there was bits that I missed? What is it with that?
No, I really enjoyed it. I really, really enjoyed it. I was like, oh, this is a breath of fresh air. I thought Verada Sousa was fantastic. I thought she had quite a complex, layered character as well. I thought, oh God, I'm gonna have to go back to my chat of my notes and what I thought of it. Yeah, I thought some of the right. Let me think. What I like about Verada Sousa. Yeah, I thought she was great. There's one comment. Give me a moment. Give me a moment. I completely slipped. I had it like 2 minutes ago, but my missus sent me a video. My missus sent me a video of a bird dancing to someone singing "Bacon Pancakes," and it completely threw me off. Completely,
it's completely wiped you out. I mean, the reason why I really latched on to her and this characterization, and why I was relieved, Luke, is because Russell seems to have remembered what he's good at, what his stock trade is, which is building characters really quickly, efficiently, and in a not exactly a complex way, but in a kind of layered way where he can offer you people who have flaws, but you will like them anyway. And that's what I felt it was present here with Belinda.
Yeah. Right. I remember what I was going to say now. Sorry. It's still me just waffling in here doing a Matt Smith impression with a K. But yeah, no, I thought she was great. I thought I saw someone criticizing the Sasha 55 character quite quite harshly, which I completely disagree. As a filmmaker, I completely disagree with it, because she wasn't a character. People say, I don't care about the character, I don't care about the death, I don't care that the doctor cried. I was like, well, you kind of missed the point of it. She's not really a character. She's a plot device for Belinda at the end. And you can kind of see it. So right at the end, like, you know, the doctor's been here for 6 months, gets killed. She's gonna go with him to go to the stars. Gets
That's
killed
how
instantly.
I saw her as well. I saw her very much as a device to build the characters and to do other things.
Upsets the doctor, and when she's going back into the TARDIS, then she gets the reminder of, oh, cool, we're going to call this Sasha 55. She gets the reminder, cool. Goes back into the TARDIS. Then when the doctor's there, he's like, right, let's go on the adventure. And she's like, oh, okay, what are you going to do? Blah, blah, blah. And he's like, oh, do this, do this, do this. And then she's like, oh, is that what you said to her? Is that what you say to all the girls? So you can see Belinda's kind of actually leading him on, and you can almost see then the doctor doesn't know how to react, and he's kind of like, it's like the mask slips a little bit, and you can be like, oh, okay, this is, you didn't expect it. And you can kind of see it's there. What was it?
I'm not suggesting Shooty's going to win any kind of NTAs or Olivier Awards or anything for this performance, but I do think that having, just as we said in the run up to this, a great many of us had an inkling that having a slightly more seasoned actress opposite him could bring about something better from him, because they must have given him this job for a frigging reason. Surely people keep giving this guy work. He must be a decent actor. He must be good at something. And I did think we got flashes of that whenever they were together. She made him better.
Yeah, and I think it's no knock on Millie, but I think she's more.
I liked her.
I think she's but Millie and Shooty same level. Barada is, you know, she's got pedigree, she's got Star Wars, she's got everything coming in, so she's gonna actually drag him up begrudgingly. He's going to have to try, because he's the doctor. He shouldn't be playing second fiddle to the companion. But going back as well, I know there was a lot in the press saying about like the consent line where he scanned her with the DNA, and everyone's like, and she's like, oh, you scanned my DNA without my consent, and everyone's like, oh, you can't do this. They're bringing consent into Doctor Who, blah 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 blah. It's like, well, no, actually. On my great rewatch that I'm currently doing right now, Rose says the exact same thing at the end of the world. She's like, oh, the TARDIS is in my head. No one made a big song and dance about that 20 years ago.
Oh, she stamps, that thing gets inside my head, and you never.
It translates. It's like, it's happened before. It's like Russell's retreading all ground, essentially, but because of the day and age we're in now, it's like it gets brought up to the forefront a bit more. But I'd really enjoy. The sperm in the egg bit I thought was a load of rubbish. I was like, that's really, and then him doing a kick in the air going, yes, babes, or yes, queen, or whatever. I was like, okay, Doctor wouldn't do that. You can imagine Capaldi doing it or Matt Smith doing it. I was like, that was a bit out of character. But I thought the rest of it, I enjoyed it. I really, really enjoyed it. I thought the designs were great. I thought it was shot beautifully. I thought it was directed beautifully. The proper, like, when the two certificates touch, I was like, that whole sequence as well, when there's like red and is jumping around, I thought that was very like 70s Doctor
Who. The trippy stuff.
Yeah, I thought that was fantastic. I was like, that looked beautiful. I really, really enjoyed it. For the most part, really, really enjoyed it. Really, really enjoyed it. And I was like,
you enjoyed it even more than I did.
I did. I watched this 3 times. Even my missus enjoyed it. My missus didn't like last season. And then when we went to a log cabin in Wales, I was like, oh, I'll stick on Genesis the Daleks. She really enjoyed Genesis the Daleks. She really enjoyed it, watching the hot tub with a bottle of champagne, watching Genesis of the Daleks.
Lions?
Yeah, it's going to kill me. But then when we watched this, she was like, "Oh, this is yeah." She's like, "I actually enjoy this," and she's a casual. She wouldn't have watched it unless I was like, "You're watching this." Yeah, no, like she's a casual. She watched it. I know she's in every episode of Hooligans, so she's kind of forced to. But yeah, as a casual, she enjoyed it a lot more than last season. And I think if last season would have started with this, I think we'd be in a better position. I think the thing is, if this was any other Doctor, I think people would see this as, oh, that's a strong opener. But I think Shooty's I don't think Shooty's suited to that role. If that was like a Capaldi or a Smith or an Eccleston or a Tennant, it would be a better story, because you wouldn't be having all the little idiocracies of him just doing, kicking his legs up in the air and killing people. You get a little bit more groundedness. I think he's just a little bit too far out of it to bring him, to put him right there. Sorry, that was a rant and a half then.
No, I largely agree with you. I mean, and as you say, when you spend time with people who are not of the fandom, but who are, who have an eye for this kind of material, stuff that's a little bit out there. I know people, for example, Charlotte, who don't watch any other sci-fi apart from this show, because partly because of its appeal across multiple demographics, but also because of the time it tends to be on. You know, they haven't got to stay up late to watch it. It's not on some minority channel. It's there, right in the heart of the schedule, to give people, I don't know, a little bit of. I don't think people see it as an intellectual show, but I think they view it as a wild show, which they may not necessarily understand all the time. But it gives them, when it's functioning well, it's diverting and energetic. And for some people, that is enough, having attitude and having identity. And the show, I think, did lose its identity a little last year, simply for the fact that it was so inconsistent, not just in the quality of the stories, but in the dynamic, simply because the Doctor wasn't even in it for a few weeks. There's all sorts of things at play. My big concern is that, although I think it's been very split down the middle how people have received this one, but my general concern is that it's simply going to be too little too late, and it's almost academic how good or not this stuff is. I mean, have you gone back to it, Charlotte, in the last couple of days? Have you watched it again? Have you given it much thought? And where are you at with it now?
I've not watched it again. Like, I have been sort of thinking a bit, like, because you sort of, on that night we just watched it and it was quite fresh still, and you just naturally sort of, your thoughts sort of ruminate out a bit, don't you, in your head?
Yeah.
And I agree. There was some of this, I was like, God, Russell, what Luke said, you should have started like this. You really should have given sort of this idea of adventure straight away. The escapism. So that's the word I was thinking more like when I sort of had that time. Like, for good chunks of this, I felt like Russell got that again, that this show at its best is escapism. It's that you don't have to think about the real world for 45 minutes and you can just sort of get swept up. And I agree with you, I feel like that other series, he lost that element. It was sort of either really weirdly conceptual and too out there for people to sort of grasp hold of, or it was boring, or you were struggling with a mystery plot that didn't go anywhere. Whereas here, it was just, here's just an adventure for a good chunk of it. And that's what I thought was good. I think the problem is, what you said about possibly going forward now, is Doctor Who's at a really weak position right now as a brand. It's at a really tenuous position right now as a brand. And this, because I agree with you, I think it's been mixed, with some people absolutely loving it and some people not, like me, and then some people being in the middle. Because it wasn't that sort of massive overall that I've seen, everybody loved it. And because of the position right now of this brand, all it's going to take is a little chunk to have some elements of that story they didn't like and for them to peel away. And I think Russell can't take those risks now, if I'm being bluntly honest. I think he has to sort of be very careful.
I agree. He's all out of chances.
Yeah, and all it will take is one bit in a story for somebody to go around not watching next week. And I just think that's the risk now that this series, more than the other one's going to have, actually. And the people are just going to sort of, who are watching it, are going to sort of be waiting for the other shoe to drop, which is sad, but we're in this position because of Russell and the choices he made before.
We've been taken here, haven't we? We haven't gone here of our own free will.
Well, he's already talking about season 4 and season 5 anyway, so...
Yeah, that's something that we'll probably come to on a future show, because that is out there, which does connect with other things we've heard and doesn't with others. So we'll probably look at that in the near future. Demorpin in the live chat watching on YouTube says the Doctor and Belinda are like the blueprints for the two types of people I most go out of my way to avoid interacting with. So it doesn't find either of them particularly likable. And Jack Thursby says he finds the companion bossy, entitled, and very unlikable with zero charm. I don't know about the charm thing. I like her personal qualities. I think that we're being offered a character here who has integrity, and she's very dutiful and compassionate and maternal. These are good things, and we haven't had this in a companion for a really long time. These are the kind of qualities that characters like Barbara Wright had. It's very early days here for Belinda. I don't know where this is going to go. I've no idea about where the plots are going to go, but I think it's interesting that they've put a character like her with a doctor like that, who I wouldn't say is irresponsible, but who is rather caught up in himself in the way that Ncuti Gatwa seems rather caught up in himself as well. Dalek Lives Matter says the worst performance so far, and that's saying something. I don't know. I'm not quite sure who he means. Maybe it's everybody. I don't know. And Professor Amelia Rumford. How about that? Professor Amelia Rumford in the chat. Anthony says, Dan Gatwa plays the same character in everything he's been in. I have still never seen him in anything else. I'm sure you're right.
Yeah. He's actually more doctorish in Sex Education than he is in this, actually.
The problem is in Sex Education, he gets given more dramatic scenes, which is crazy. What that show is about. It's like, how come he's not getting that in Doctor Who?
Strange, isn't it?
No, I was going to season 4 because the scripts didn't even arrive on time and they were writing them on set. So no, that's a little something for you to take with you. But
I'm just laughing at what Ezra said in the chat.
Woo! Rick Flair was.
There are several things happening on screen in the corners and the little scenes that we don't notice the first time, or we hear, but the story moves so quickly that we're keeping up with the rest of it. So we think, oh, did they really say that? And this is one of them. So the bending of time, and Belinda has seen the TARDIS before, knows what the TARDIS is somehow. I'm sure they'll pick that up later. I'm so kind of bored with this stuff. I don't even bother trying to work it all out now, because a great deal of the time it makes no sense in the end anyway. Ewan points that out as well. I like Belinda, but how did she know the name? Heaven knows. I think the only thing any of us can do is kind of roll with it. Stephen Brannick says the only high kicks I want to see are karate kicks from John Pertwee. Couldn't agree more. Sonny Waffles suggests that when the best part of Doctor Who is a visual effect, you've lost the plot. Well, visual effects are part of it, obviously, but I know what you're saying. And Woodhouse 122 says, I think Belinda is going to be a Mary Sue character. There's no indications of that yet. We've got 7 episodes left to go. As I say, I believe she's been built quite well, quite multi-layered. I'm not seeing anything of that at the moment, but obviously that could change at any point in the next 7 episodes. Only 7, David.
Yeah, for me, I just want to come back off what Anthony said a while ago. And I know that Luke will understand what the analogy I'm about to use by this. For me, Ncuti Gatwa's second time as Doctor Who, or Doctor Who feels to me like now, a sports team that you support that's been experiencing managed decline for some time. And they're not going to get relegated. They're not going to get promoted. Luke's seen it with Man United. I see it with my team that I support. They're not really going anywhere. It seems to be stagnant. So when we get an average episode, which I would say that the one on Saturday was, we treat it like a fantastic 4-0 victory in a local derby. And we
it almost feels like a relief to see something that is certainly, if not to formula. Now, this was very formulaic, but something that is fit for purpose at least. I think that if somebody who hasn't seen Doctor Who for a while or never ever seen it happens upon this, doesn't really know, I think there's a general story here that's rolled out in a reasonable way, whereby they get a decent approximation about what Doctor Who is and how it works, providing they don't wonder about those little bits, that why is he there and then there? Why is he wearing a frigging dress? Why is he over there saying that? All of these things, as long as they don't look at those things too much, then they will at least get a fair idea about how Doctor Who works. Doctor Companion TARDIS, past, present, future, bang. But I don't think it's unreasonable that this being a cultural institution, that by now we've been moving with more momentum than this. Yeah. I want to come to a comment here in the live chat we've got from Sonny Roffles, Luke, who says, so Luke, your suggestion is you need to become a casual fan to enjoy this story. Got it. That's not what you were saying, is it?
No, at all.
The casual audience are important though, aren't they? Really important.
Yeah, those are the ones who are going to boost your view. You have your core viewership. So look, the core viewership is going to 9 times out of 10 they're going to watch it no matter what. It's like I'm going to watch it. It's like Anthony begrudgingly watched it. It's like we'll watch it for different reasons. Like I'm a fan of classic to new who, and I watched it and I really enjoyed it. But my missus wouldn't have watched it without me. But as a casual, she was like, "Oh, this is actually, yeah." She's like, "This is actually good. I enjoyed it." So, but she didn't enjoy Shooty's first season. And she enjoyed bits of it. She enjoyed the Legend of Ruby Sunday. She enjoyed, apart from the big dog at the end, because we thought that was just going to be an amalgamation. He's going to walk out of the TARDIS in his full regalia as he did in Pyramids of Mars. That would have been a better ending. But who knows? But yeah, no, I don't think you. No, I think if a casual sees it, like my missus, they are enjoying it. But I don't think them. I was speaking to my housemate today, and he was like, I said, "Oh, have you watched Doctor Who yet?" And he went, "Didn't know it was on." He said, "I haven't seen nothing," because last year for season 1, there was posters all over Manchester. They were on billboards. They were everywhere. And now I've seen one billboard, and that's it.
I haven't even seen that.
That was on the outskirts of Manchester. I was like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
it's very well. Yeah.
Let's take a few more comments. Matt Jones says, it's very snappy for a nurse. I expect compassion. I saw a lot of compassion in that character, moving from person to person.
Yeah.
And also she was regulating her time as well, constantly thinking of others. And that's the reason why she wants to get home. That's a driving reason to wanting to get home. It's not because she's left the iron on, Charlotte, or she's going to see Taylor Swift. It's because she's got to go back on shift. I think we can give her a bit more.
You as well as that stuff you mentioned, she basically sacrificed herself. She was happy at the end of the story, near the end of the story, to go, look, people are dying, people are getting hurt because of me. I'm going to go to the AI generator and I'm going to do the marriage and do everything she didn't want to do, purely because of the result, the negative stuff she could see firsthand that was happening. So I would say that's a massive, compassionate, sort of brave thing to do as a character. And that's what I like, that in the first episode, she's willing to do that. So I want to see what more she's going to do.
Dan, as we've been talking, I've been kind of reflecting on that episode that went out on Saturday. And I think what I liked about the first 4 years of new Doctor Who, so that first Eccleston year and the subsequent Tennant ones, was that opportunity to explore characters by Rose Tyler's family, for example. You would have an episode without them, and then a couple of episodes later you would dip back in and you would revisit them, and those kind of things, those elements to those early stories were dragged me in. You know, I was definitely more invested in those characters because you were not just in one episode, but over, you know, a series. You were going back to characters and you were meeting Mickey and, you know, Jackie Tyler.
13 episodes goes a long way to that as well, doesn't it?
Doesn't it? And then match with Murray Gold's music, that for me made it kind of epic in sound. And it was kind of, it wasn't just necessarily incidental music, but Murray Gold had given a sort of musical soundscape that was kind of exciting, and there were tunes within that music. I think it kind of reinvigorated Doctor Who and kind of and then sparked my interest. This, although on Saturday, I want to be really clear, I love the visuals. I really liked her. I thought she was great. For me, it was lacking something, and I don't know what that was. But if it was the fact that the music wasn't loud enough, or there wasn't an opportunity to explore characters, I feel that's where it was lacking, which is kind of your point, isn't it, really, that in 45 minutes, there wasn't enough opportunity to do that. But I think that's what I miss about this new RTD2 version of Doctor Who, that he hasn't shown us that he can do what he did really well 20 years ago. Maybe that's the thing I'm struggling with. But in terms of production and in terms of her, I thought she was great. I really did.
And Anthony, ironically, in the Christmas special, Joy to the World, they managed it with a 2 or 3 minute segment with Anita because of a budget cut.
Yeah.
So they
Yes.
can do it. They can do it, and that's what's
Yeah.
so frustrating. That they can do
and
it.
actually, David, when you were talking about ratings a moment ago, and it kind of, I hadn't looked at it in the great deal detail that you had looked at it, and I found that conversation fascinating. But you just know on that gut instinct, don't you, that 2 million people really is reflected in the fact that there's no big Toys R Us displays, the fact that nobody's talking about it. There have been some posters around, but Dan, you say you didn't see any. Luke said he saw lots of them. I saw 1 or 2, but not many. There was a bigger buzz around that comeback 20 years ago that you don't quite see. And I feel that from the kind of collectible toys that Character Options do, those kind of special editions that are 20 odd quid rather than the $5.99 like budget pocket money type toys. There isn't a need for Doctor Who. Nobody's really grabbing it. And
there's no wind in the sails, Anthony.
There's no wind in the sails, and I don't quite know why. Because if you look at the episode, it's visually probably better than it did look 20 years ago. From a production and direction point of view, it looks better. I just don't know what it is, and I don't like laying blame at him, because actually Ncuti is given all that he's given to do because it's being written in that way for him.
And to be fair, Anthony, he does seem to be. I can't say that this is a lazy performance. He's throwing himself into it. Yeah. It's just like. It's just all over the place. I mean, we got multiple characterizations throughout the season last year, and this was a bit more sort of bolted down and more recognizably the Doctor in some respects. But and I understand the need to push the character on, but by getting him silly things to wear, by permitting him to say ridiculous things that the character doesn't wear well, then you're making it so much harder for the actor. An actor who isn't a natural fit for the role, that's very, very clear, but who could maybe hit pay dirt, and I don't think we're ever going to find out if he's even capable of it.
Yeah, agreed. And I think when you touch on that, Dan, and you talk about the costume and the silhouette, that has always been I don't know why it's a sticking point, but that has always been my problem with this, because every episode, well, in series 1 when he was in them, but in series 2 or when he is in them, he's looking different every time. And I know that's experimental, and I know that's trying to do something new and different. I'd rather
they put him in the skirt and leave him in that.
Yeah.
For this, I'd rather them do that. Make a choice, even if it's a choice that I personally think is ridiculous and not Doctor. I'd rather they make that choice and stick with that. But they can't. I just think it's a major fundamental mistake. And I know that clothes don't maketh the man, but this isn't real life. This is a TV show. Adults, human beings, and more to the point, professionals make these decisions, and it's becoming a bit of a fuck up. And it's tragic when the show can look this good and when it can attract talent like Verada Saitu. She's great.
Yeah, agreed. And the one as I said right at the very beginning, the one text message I had about all of this was, what the F has he got on? And that's a fixation with some people at Doctor Who. It's certainly my fixation. But I understand this might be something experimental. You can't always do the same thing. But for this particular character, you want it to be that, Dan, for me.
7 more to go.
Well, the thing is, like, you can't compare it to 2005, because like we've all said before, that was a massive relaunch. It's been gone for years off screen. It was like this big thing of it's back. But I think the fact that Ncuti has only had 1 series, and I'm saying as his Doctor, as just more of a more general moniker, and he's already getting lower overnights than Jodie did by her end of her run. The fact that he's had less time on screen than the other Doctors. He's only had his 8 episodes, whereas they had 11, 13, down to 10. And that this is, at this point in a normal Doctor lifespan, we've sort of had the introduction, we're starting to sort of get in a rhythm with them, and we're starting to sort of settle and get sort of any sort of affection usually, or hopefully any sort of real, this is the Doctor on screen right now and we're jiving with it. And the fact that it's just come to, I feel like this Doctor has already sort of come to a crashing halt, even though he's still technically on screen.
Stephen Braddock, who said in it, Shooty did want an outfit. Shooty was thinking of outfits and he wanted this, and then they said, no, we're going to do something different. Oh, I slipped into Russell then. Is that no, we're going to do something different. Oh, and so that's on the production. That's not on Shooty. He did, yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I said this before. I think there's lots of people above him which have put every hurdle possible for this Doctor to trip over.
I made a whole video about this, about the stuff that he wanted to wear, Charlotte.
But yeah, that's my point. I feel like some of that excitement and this lack of presence and the lack of people talking, and I think there's multiple factors for this, but people just don't care about this Doctor. And that's such a sad state that the show's got a leading man and the main character that people just haven't connected with or don't care enough to try and connect to his Doctor.
It's almost play of the week, where you could have anybody playing the role of the Doctor. It's just the characterizations all over the damn shop. I really feel for him as an actor.
Same.
In the fact that he has gotten the material he is given. You wouldn't even get an MFI. It's that shit.
Oh, what's it going to be this week? Is he going to stay? And is he going to play the same version of the same character for longer than 2 weeks running? When it comes back, episode 2, of course, it's coming this weekend. Until then, maybe you want to go back and rewatch this. I'm gonna give this another couple of days in court. That's the Robot Revolution, episode 1 of season 2 of All New Doctor Who. It premiered on Saturday, the 12th of April. Of course, it's doing okay in some respects and not in others. Results are pretty much split down the middle. The things that people hate, they really hate. Here, I think we have been probably as generous as we can be, but that's generally, I think, where we've got to leave it for now. Let us know what you think in the comments, as ever. How many times have you watched it, if you've even watched it at all, and what do you think the rest of the series is going to bring? Okay, something far more exciting and fan-pleasing now. Golden faces and golden voices from Doctor Who's long and distinguished past. Our legend, flogging us all manner of everyday household tat. Back in telly times, past way before you could order every bit of old shit from Amazon. So here it is, the Type 40 Live Doctor Who ad break. We'll be back in a couple of minutes.
Right now, there's an extraordinary power at work to add a new dimension to your life. So versatile, it can heat the smallest to the largest home. So affordable, all your heating and hot water comes at one new low price, day and night. So controllable, it comes to life at your command and even responds to the weather forecast. And it can be yours now with interest-free credit. Simply freephone Scottish Power today. It's made for people like you. And this is just the beginning.
Join the Cyberman army with the Doctor Who voice changer helmet with Cyberman phrases and frightening sound effects. Change your voice to cyberform with the built-in synthesizer. Resistance is illogical. Doctor Who Cyberman voice changer helmet and sonic screwdriver.
From character.
Peter, now you must be able to help.
After a cup of coffee.
You've got the message.
It's that special blend and roast that gives Nescafe that unmistakable, richer, smoother Nescafe taste.
There is only one Nescafe.
Unmistakable.
Even with your eyes closed.
Peter, that's marvelous.
Just what the doctor ordered.
Nescafe. Unmistakably coffee at its best.
Welcome back to Type 40 Live on Rumble, X, YouTube, and Facebook, wrapping up another fabulous live stream here, digging deep there on the ratings and giving you further reviews of the very latest episodes. Taking it all so seriously, also seriously as ever. Well, apart from him, of course, I'm back here with the panel. Yes, so who have we got? We've got Anthony Wayner here. We've got Luke Walters there, and we have David Milling layered up there like Sylvester McCoy, and Charlotte Shields too. Thank you everybody for the comments on everything.
I needed
so
that break.
I think he's had to run back.
Made it back just in time.
All better now. All better now.
Yeah, I tell you, it's a devil getting old. I tell you,
getting old. Don't talk to me about. So yes, later on in this, talk about something that's going to age you. Later on in this season, of course, that's if you're still watching by week 6, we're going to be put through the spectacle of the Interstellar Interstellar. Can't even say that fucking thing. Song contest, or as it will be forever known, I've no doubt, the one with Rylan in it. Yes, the insufferable Rylan Clark is going to be in that. And if that wasn't bad news enough, last week it was revealed quite late in the day, really, because it's only just a few weeks until it's on screen. We're also going to be subjected to an appearance, a planned appearance this time by, my God, by Graham Bloody Norton. Graham Norton serves as the BBC's commentator for the actual Eurovision Song Contest, and he'll be appearing in Doctor Who, it seems, as himself, in that 6th episode, dressed up here like, I don't know, Dolly Parton's butler. Graham Norton is a 62-year-old Irish comedian, broadcaster. Don't laugh, it'll only encourage me. Broadcaster and writer, host of the Graham Norton Show, of course, on the BBC, a flagship chat show in Britain, that is. Heaven knows why. He's been doing that since 2007. And he was sort of popular for a while. Not that popular with Doctor Who fans, thanks to his 2 unplanned appearances in the show. First of all, that opening night all the way back in 2005. He'll never live that down when he interrupted the opening moments, didn't he, of Rose, that comeback episode. We were on the edge of our seats. Our favourite show was back. It seemed to be looking better than ever. And then we hear this tit going off whatever he was doing on Strictly Dance Fever, the show that he was hosting before they hadn't turned off the mics. Not his fault, but I still blame him because I don't like him. Next was in 2010. He interrupted a Matt Smith episode, Charlotte. What happened this time?
It was a very good Matt moment. That was half the frustration.
Yeah.
It was
incredible.
The Angel 2-parter when he said, don't trap me. And then you had that little cartoon appear.
Yeah, ruined it. Totally ruined it. And I bet you,
even to this day.
I bet you his first cameo will be far, far better than the third that he does.
Oh, it does. It worries me. I mean, Anthony, I've got pretty much zero tolerance now when it comes to like more arseholes being in Doctor Who. Am I being harsh? Because Graham Norton, he did host some of the 2013 50th anniversary coverage, didn't he, for the BBC? And he behaved himself then. He was relatively warm and entertaining. But he said some really nasty things about Doctor Who and Doctor Who fans this last few years. And I can't forget that shit. I don't think this bloke really wants to be there. And quite frankly, I think calls like this just consistently make this show a joke at the worst possible time. Am I taking it too seriously?
Well, I don't think you are taking it too seriously, but these things often repeat themselves, don't they? And when Graham Norton was announced, it kind of reminded me of kind of Doctor Who fandom in the late 80s, you know, when John Nathan Turner was stunt casting and the fans were like, blimmin' Ken Dodd in Doctor Who. Oh my goodness.
I don't know what you mean.
Yeah, look, it's like I read your mind, Dan. But there was that kind of that casting that you wouldn't normally expect in Doctor Who. I happen to think Ken Dodd and all of those, many of those performances, those guest appearances from those people you wouldn't normally expect in Doctor Who, like Halen Pace, like Nicholas Parsons, I think they do a flipping good job. I'm not suggesting for one moment, because I haven't seen it, that Graham Norton is going to do an amazing job. We shall wait and see. I will still be watching by then. So ask me again a bit later on, Dan, to be fair. But this seems to be a kind of cycle of of what we've gone through before. And Doctor Who in its last days, here we are again, Doctor Who potentially in some rest period.
Making the same. Are they mistakes? Because as you say, Ken Dodd was pretty good in that. Hale and Pace were pretty good at what they were given to do. But it does send a certain signal, again, out to the casual audience, Luke, that they're not meant to take this show seriously. I mean, these two guys are mates. Here they are out on the town together. Great big bloody showbiz mates like Jimmy Tarbuck and Kenny Lynch or something. All a little bit nauseating, but whatever. I'm not going to hold that against them. Why have they got to invade this show? I know they're only doing it because they've been asked. I mean, what's your take on this? Do you think I'm taking it too much to heart?
Yeah, probably. I think that if you're doing a Eurovision in space, the two most recognisable people to it's the people in the chat. The two most recognisable people to the casual viewers of Eurovision is Rylan and Graham Norton. If you're going to do Eurovision,
I didn't realise Rylan was anything to do with Eurovision until.
Yeah. So if you're going to do Eurovision in space and you're going to market it as this is Doctor Who doing Eurovision in space, you can have Graham Norton and Rylan. Graham Norton's going to be probably a voice cameo as he is on the show. Rylan is going to be the presenter. And that's literally going to be, it might be a TV in a background somewhere and he's going to be like, oh, well, someone from Mars is doing this. I thought that was awful. I went fully American then. Jesus Christ. But yeah, it's just, it's going to be ridiculous.
What is that?
Yeah, because
if you look, furries.
If you look at the novelization of Rose, they kind of write him talking over. They write that into the novelization of Rose, and it's like, oh, Rose here's an Irish presenter on in the background on a random TV. It's going to be something like that where Graham Norton is going to be the announcer talking over the tannoy, or it's going to be someone watching. And then you're going to have Rylan being the presenter. If you're going for the Eurovision crowd, that's what's going to draw it in. I think if you go in Eurovision in space, you go Eurovision in space, and you get the BBC's big hitters to come in, and that's what they've done. And I did call this about 3 weeks ago, by the way. I said you should get Graham Norton in.
Remind us. How did it come up? You were just speculating, were we?
Yeah, it's like I knew. No. I just said it. Like, you may as well. Graham Norton is more synonymous with Eurovision than Rylan. So I was like, you may as well get Graham Norton in it, and then he can be in it canonically. And now they have. So, hey, fair play. Well done to them.
Yeah, and the thing is, that episode, the more we're hearing about it, the more it just feels to me in general, which I'm not surprised in the slightest when this got revealed. I'm like, Luke, I was like, if they're doing a full-blown parody of Eurovision, if they're doing a legit, this is what we're doing, folks, sort of episode, you need to have all the trappings. You need to have all the voices and the faces. The problem is, I just think more of a larger thing, not so much a Graham Norton thing, but just in general. I don't know if the Eurovision crowd is necessarily got a lot of crossover with Doctor Who.
I think you'd be surprised. I think you'd be surprised.
I think you would be surprised.
Really?
I love it.
I've loved Eurovision since a young lad. I've loved Doctor Who since a young lad. But I'm firmly of the belief that never the twain should meet.
Yeah.
And it did a big finish.
I
like bang, boom, boom.
Yeah, but yeah.
I like jam sandwiches and jacket potatoes, but I'd never put them on the same plate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think, okay, maybe that was more of a crossover than I thought, but bit of me thinks, once again, at this point in what the show's currently like, this feels really, this whole episode, like Russell's just doing a self-indulgent, what do I want to happen in a Doctor Who episode, like for him and for his personal want, more than just what could possibly bring viewers in.
Yeah, we've got a quote from Russell here, Charlotte. Russell said there's no song contest without the great man himself. Of course, I thought he meant Terry Wogan. Then I remembered he was dead.
He did.
Yeah, so there's no song contest without the great man himself. And it was an honour to welcome Graham Norton. You know, that guy who's taken the piss out of Doctor Who multiple times. It was an honour to welcome Graham Norton to our studios in Cardiff. And it's not just a cameo. He has a whole plot twist all to himself. Oh, God. This is the wildest episode of all. And we're lucky to have Graham adding to the mayhem. This is going to be absolutely intolerable. I'm going to have to get smashed again, Luke.
I mean, it's Eurovision night. That's what everyone does. They get smashed for Eurovision night. So, hey, I will be watching Eurovision, and probably begrudgingly. My missus is very musical theatre, and she doesn't like it, and I'm the one that does. So, yeah, no, you'll probably be an AI robot. You'll probably be a robot that becomes sinister and kills Doctor Who at the end of it, probably knowing the BBC. So, hey, all power to them. They got the voice in. They needed to do it. If you go in Eurovision, you go Eurovision. Unfortunately, if you're going to do it. You do it. You go big. So
here's the funny thing.
Go home.
Russell's joked, hasn't he, though, that this episode might not even go out on the night on BBC.
Yeah, because they've jammed it in between the song contest and a live, really important football match. So anything could happen.
I'm hoping for a 27.5-minute VAR decision pending.
What's a VAR decision, mate?
Video system referee.
Yeah, where they look at fuzzy little things to see whether or not someone's offside or whether a foul was committed. So I'm hoping for a really, really extended, long game, the longest ever game of football. So we actually don't have to watch it. Because Russell really ruined my evening.
Russell said that and put it out. So kickoff's at 3:00. Eurovision starts at 7. The game, even with extra time, penalties, and VAR, the game's not going to go 3 hours. It'll go maybe 5:30 max. So you still got. So even though
we've got to have at least, and we've got to. BBC are contractually obliged to give at least an hour's worth of airtime to Gary Lineker. So
for now,
well, when you put it like that,
the way I have to look at it, I suppose, to get myself through this is the Devil's Cord wasn't as bad as I was expecting, but this has just got a car crash all over it. What harm is one more dickhead going to do? So we'll see where we are come week 6. Hope they can pull it back after week 7. I've got to accept, in all seriousness, that not every episode is going to be for me. Let us know what you think. As always, my chief concern is always, how does this look to the casual audience? And it's not that Graham Norton's not popular. I have to accept that he is to some extent. How does this look? It's you don't put these things on the same plate, David. You don't put these things on the same bill, in my opinion. I think this is going to backfire. It's not a great look for the show. And just stop. Just stop.
This is the Time-40 podcast. You will be exterminated.
That was a plea direct from the heart, from myself to the people at Bad Wolf. And there's no chance they're not going to show it. Well, I suppose it's still my choice to watch it or not, isn't it? But let us know what you think, as ever, in the comments section. Guys, thank you all for your company on this one. We've covered a lot of ground, done a lot of laughing, considering. And David, I think you've dispelled a lot of our myths, I think, about the ratings. And whilst there's nothing to worry about in some respects, there actually is in others. So I think you've cleared it up quite well there. Nice.
I'm not sure who wins the election, though, or what the percentage swing is. So next time I'll try my best to see if we can get somebody walking down the street towards Bad Wolf Studios or something, as to see. I vote for Luke. I think Luke should be the next showrunner, because Hooligans was fantastic and the most Doctor Who thing I have seen for a very long time.
Doctor Who continues Saturday, the 19th of April at 8 a.m. again on the BBC iPlayer. Later that day on BBC One in the UK again. And of course, outside of the UK, it's all going to be on Disney Plus there on the weekly. We are back with more later in the week. Specifically, we're going to be talking about this, or more importantly, there'll be our tribute to multi-time Doctor Who star, much-loved British character actress Jean Marsh, who passed away over the weekend. So you're going to get a lengthy tribute to Jean there with us on the panel, and you can join in the live chat as always. Not just the Doctor Who work, either the stuff outside as well. She meant a lot to a lot of viewers who grew up with her in various roles. So there'll be this and more on The Big Who from 8 p.m. Thursday UK time, type40live.com. don't miss that. Okay. I think that about wraps up another one, doesn't it, everybody? Thank you for your time. Thanks again, David. Anthony, you made it valiantly through. So are you going to have to try and retrieve your cork and pop it back in, or are you going to get a fresh bottle for next week? Are you going to be there on Saturday to watch another one?
Worse, Luke.
I'm just trying to style it out and pretend that didn't come out the way it did.
Oh my God.
I shall be watching I shall be watching next Saturday, of course, Dan.
That's what I meant. Yeah, that's what I meant. Oh God, why do I say these things? Why do I say these things? I know, terrible, isn't it? Okay, yes. If you want to give us some feedback to not just that terrible segue, but everything else on the show, you can reach out to us through our social media, as always, Instagram and X at Type 40 Doctor Who there, or join us in the Type 40 Facebook group to plaster your own borderline obscenities across the Facebook wall, along with fan art and pictures, opinions. Start an argument if you like. You know, what's one more argument there in the Type 40 Facebook group? Get some feedback to us too in audio form there at SpeakPipe as well. Could be a review, could be a question, could be a simple comment to get involved with Type 40 and Type 40 Live through SpeakPipe, new for 2025. Oh, where will it end, everybody? You'd think we'd get bored with talking about Doctor Who by now, wouldn't we? But so much more to cover as the series continues. Thank you again for your time. Charlotte, God, we've done some hours over the last week or so. We're going to take a break on Bank Holiday Monday, but still another couple of rounds to go.
Yeah, it's like
David's lost it.
You've sort of said now it's crazy time. Now the show's back. You're going to have lots of Type 40 in varying ways. So we hope you guys all enjoy it.
Well rescued, Charlotte.
To wash down Doctor Who, and you've got hooligans as well, haven't they, Luke? Remind people where they can find that again.
Sorry, I was drinking some water. The Cinescope YouTube channel, and as David said, it's the most Doctor Who thing you can have. We've got Time Lords, Daleks, Centaurans, Regenerations, 4, 1, 2, 10. You name the Doctors, we got them all. We even got a policewoman kissogram involved. There you go. We've got everything you could want from your Doctor Who series right there. In 5 parts, sixth, the finale is coming out very, very soon. Go enjoy it. You'll all have a great time.
We don't even get raunch like that in actual Doctor Who now, so that's unmissable. There'll be a link in the description. Of course there will, and we'll be back to more Doctor Who coverage very, very soon. Of course we will. Going to run around here for the next couple of days, passing the time and the space, and we'll see you in the comments with more, I don't doubt. Guys, it's been what a hair-raising couple of hours. Speaking of which, Luke, what happened to the quiff this week?
It's still kind of there. I'm gonna get a haircut like before I go island. I'm gonna get it all cut off. So he'll have a new one soon. It's going. Yeah, this is like bed hair. Realistically, it's me just rushing to work because I couldn't be bothered. So if my boss is watching, I was not late. So there you go.
Bed hair. Look, we'll park it here, but we'll be back with more hot takes, cold shoulders, pet peeves, bouquets, and pot shots on the next Type 40 Live, where we always have the time. If you have the space, we'll see you then. Bye-bye.